Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. I recently joined as a member, and you can too. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with the advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co.
And please put unprofessional development in the How Did You Hear About Podgo? That will give us a little finder's fee. Thank you. Hello, unprofessionals. So as you know, now we're doing real commercials, not just the silly ones that we normally do. So today I've got with me my daughter Micah. Say hello, Micah.
Hi.
She has an Etsy account. It's called what?
Roo Makes Bracelets.
Roo Makes Bracelets, okay? We'll put a link in the show notes for you for sure. So she makes some friendship bracelets. She even has one that is kind of an unprofessional bracelet where she's made the unpro letters in the bracelet. So if you need a bracelet, go to Roo's Bracelets. Anything else you want to say about your bracelets?
No.
Okay. Well, she's a little kid. She's 11 years old. She's entrepreneuring. You know, support her. And go to Roo's Bracelets. Click the link in the show notes. Thank you. Say goodbye, Micah.
Bye.
Unprofessionals, we need your help. Mealy and I keep trying to explain to the world how special we are, but they won't believe us. Here's what you can do. Check in the show notes for the link to the People's Podcast Awards. And please nominate us so the rest of the world can realize exactly how amazing we are. Enjoy!
This is Mealy from Unprofessional Development.
And Tedesco from Unprofessional Development.
And you got your boy Kevin Adams from the Two Dope Teachers and a Mic podcast.
And I'm Gerardo Muñoz, co-host of Two Dope Teachers and a Microphone.
There we go. Okay, Kev, you got a question / prompt for us?
Here we go. I got one. So, what is one of the coolest ways students have expressed creativity in your classes?
Oh, I got one. Okay. Oh man.
Ready.
Oh, it just made me feel so good. So there were these 3 kids in my class in this one class. I don't even know how to describe them. They're the square pegs, I guess, right? So they don't fit into any group. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're even different from each other, but they all know that we're just weird. But that's you're weird and I'm weird, and we'll be weird together, right?
Yep.
So they had an imaginary band. Like, none of them played instruments or sang, but the name of their band was The Void, which kind of really describes, like, of course, we're square pegs. Our band is The Void, right? So at the end of the year, they wrote me a song and they gave me the lyrics, and some of it was in other languages that they were studying, and they just wrote the song about the class and about me, and it was on the back it had their little, almost like your little Two Dope teacher thing. It was like The Void, you know what I mean? They had put that on the back with a little Void logo. Oh my God. Oh. You just feel just that love, you know what I mean? There's no love like love you get from your students. It's just so unique.
Yeah. So true. So true.
That's so dope.
True. That's so
what's great
dope.
about that is you don't even see it coming. It's one of those things, and you're like, whoa, you went to these incredible lengths. That's cool.
That's so cool.
I think it's so. Kev, the most creative things is
you've seen students do expressing their creativity in your classroom.
Okay. So again, so there's 2. One I won't go that far into. Allegedly, there used to be a website of stuff Muñoz says in class.
Nice.
There are some gems man, I don't trust squirrels. You can't sleep on squirrels though.
Sleep on squirrels.
And so and I don't know whatever happened to that, but I would say the most creative thing I've seen students do was again in probably my hip hop studies class.
Yeah.
So I had I'm the king of building the plane while it's in flight.
Nice.
Because first of all, I suck at planning. I'm so bad at it. There's this cloud of things that I think are important that the students should know. Tedesco, you're with your question about hey, so you have an extra day. What's that lesson? I'm like, dude, every day feels like an extra day. 'Cause I barely planned to begin with. and at some point in like November, I'm like, I wonder what this scope and sequence is all about.
I should check that out.
But hey, don't snitch, Kev.
You're dry snitching on yourself, man.
Actually,
you just dry snitched on yourself.
I did tell my coach, I'm like, I need a lot of support with planning because like, while I think that like, cause students are like, man, this class just feels so like natural and organic. And I'm like, there's a reason for that because it's really happening right now. And, but also it creates a lot of stress and I don't enjoy that. But I would say that, probably halfway through the first semester of teaching hip hop studies, I was trying to think of, because a lot of my background is in project-based learning. My first job was in a PBL kind of environment. And so I was kind of hardwired that, none of this like matters unless they're doing something that feels authentic, right? So there was always like some larger rationale. I'm like, well, how do you end, a class on hip hop studies? And so what I did was I created something I called the Elements Project. And so they had to take an element of hip hop. And we sort of agreed that there's a core of 4 elements. There's fashion, there's DJing, there's b-boying, there's rapping. And then, you could also expand it out to some of the other elements of hip hop. And we actually spent like a class period, like going through all of the different things that people have said is an element of hip hop. And I said, all you need to do is try that and, track your progress and set goals for yourself. And that kind of thing. And then we're going to share this. And so it was just so amazing to see what students did. Like there was one group of students, and Kev will vouch for this, who, basically watched a bunch of YouTube videos on street art and they made me a sign for my classroom.
Oh, wow.
And it's ginormous.
Yeah,
it's like 5 by 8.
Nice.
It's like,
wow.
And it's not that big, actually. I just realized I'm really exaggerating, but it's big. And
you could have lied. No one would have known.
No.
Again, dry snitching on yourself.
10 by
Come
20.
on, bro.
Yes.
You grew up on the east side of Denver. You know you don't have to be factual.
Yes.
I stay snitching on myself.
Yes.
Yeah,
it had to be cut in pieces to fit in my classroom.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. So it says in big letters the boogie down, because that's what I call my classroom. I call it the boogie down. And then just seeing, so I have a whole bunch of this art that students basically taught themselves to do using YouTube. And so it was fun because you guys remember when we used to have classrooms that we would gather all the kids in?
Yes. Back in the
yeah.
free time.
Yeah.
The before times.
Man.
It was really interesting. Interesting moment in education. Is like, and so, but it always gave me a lot of pride that when visitors would come into my room, they would ask about the art on the walls.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is all student created. Like,
Nice.
And I would tell the students, yo, take this. Like, this is beautiful art you can put in your home. But if you think you're going to throw it away, don't. I'll put it on my walls. And so it's really great. And it kind of goes back to a fundamental question I have when it comes to working, with my students, trying to keep things as authentic as possible. Do I trust my students with the things I am teaching them? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, do I trust that I did a good enough job making this a positive learning environment that I could just say, do an elements project, try to learn one of the hip hop elements and go, one kid made an album.
Yep.
Wow.
And it was cool. So
Wow.
I would say that's probably the most creative thing I've seen students do.
All right. I encourage a lot of creativity for my students, so there's like a lot of stuff for me to choose from. I can't really pick a number one, so I'll just kind of throw out a list. I once had a group of boys review A Midsummer Night's Dream by creating an entire fictional like news station setup and like presenting it as a news broadcast.
I love
they
that.
wore a fake mustache and like went all out the whole thing.
That is
I was
brilliant.
crying laughing the entire time. That was phenomenal. I get my kids really into Shakespeare.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah. I love that.
I ran a Garfield club.
Garfield Club. Yes.
Like James Garfield or Jim Davis's Garfield.
Jim Davis. And so Yeah, they came together. The kid who started every meeting by pulling out his banjo and singing a theme song. Not the theme song for Garfield, his own theme song for
Whatever.
Garfield.
He's
He
like,
wrote his own
nice.
theme song for Garfield. He
He was working on a Garfield
musical.
musical.
There you go.
Where
Wow.
Garfield found a golden lasagna and eliminated Mondays. It was a whole plot.
Wow. Wow.
The kids would constantly create like Garfield fan art, and they would watch episodes of Garfield and give like deep thematic analyses of how Odie represents the working class and Garfield is capitalism. But I'd still say my number one was there was a student I didn't even teach. And they were going through a lot of struggles. They were transgender, and their family was not accepting their transition. So he would just come to my classroom for lunch every day with his friend who I was teaching, and we just hang out and I just talk and just give him some wisdom. And he wound up writing me a song, and like naming it after me and dedicating it to me, and it's just really sweet.
Oh man,
That's dope.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I would have been in liquid form. That must.
Oh man, yeah. No, it's oof. Yeah. It was.
That's dope.
That was
I love
wonderful.
all of those stories,
Cool.
man. It's
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
full spectrum.
You know, and like for me as somebody who's always been into music, I just think it's important for kids to be able to have the opportunity to be creative and be appreciated for being creative and have these opportunities, even like if it seems silly, you know. And so like when I think about like my own career, like I've seen like I love to give kids the chance to do like skits in history, you know, like scenes from history, like bring it alive, you know. And so like I think probably maybe one of the greatest moments I've ever had as a teacher was we were doing skits about westward expansion, going west, right? And so Gerardo will know this student. He was an 8th grader at the time, my first year at DCIS, our school, and very tall young man when he left, hockey player, but incredibly just like silly. And all of a sudden he puts on this Southern accent and he's like, y'all, we got to go and we got to do this. And he's like really into the character, and like the whole room just starts dying, literally, like just like this kid never does drama. He's not an actor at all. Like I said, hockey player, like club team, like Mister, I gotta go. I'll be gone for a month because I'm traveling playing hockey. I think he's someplace around the world playing professional hockey or semi-pro hockey right now.
Like currently,
But
Cool.
but this kid like was just killing it, like,
Nice.
and it was just like this great moment.
he was hilarious.
You know, just like where he just encapsulated this like spirit of like moving west, like, you know, this attitude. And he understood they were coming from the South, so he has this Southern accent. He's like, oh, we're moving our slaves, right? He's talking about it, giving the perspective, bringing it alive in a way that just the kids love. And then another student that year, who Gerardo also knows, just one of the most talented visual artists I've ever seen in my life. I would watch, she'd take notes, and then I'd look at her notes, and then all of a sudden, like, she'd draw these pictures on the sides of the notes of what was going on in the notes, and they'd be so detailed. I remember one day she turned in these notes, and it had this just incredible detailed picture of Thomas Jefferson, because we were been talking about the Declaration of Independence, and then she's like having this dialogue about like his contradictions and that he's owning slaves and talking about freedom, like thinking at this high level and just connecting it all. But you know, those are some things that stand out. Gerardo, I'm going to think about a student that Gerardo had who did these same also detailed notes. I walk into his class one day and there's all these drawings all over his board. From this student who is just an incredible, unique young man. Yeah. And I'll tell you another creative thing.
He would sketch through, in my AP World History class, you would sketch through like the topic that so you'd have like this dry erase marker version of the Great Wall, like, you know, going across the board, and then you have Genghis Khan, and then it's just like, and he would just like add to it like every day. So this is also like how AP World History teachers flex on each other in the Facebook group. Like they're kind of like, well, I didn't even do anything, but this student has been drawing this in my classroom. And so I was like, Okay.
But and then also, this kid, I coached the Model United Nations, and this kid was like one of the most creative kids in Model United Nations, and always wanted to have a Star Wars council. And finally, like his last year,
We don't know what that means, nerd.
he had a Star Wars council for MUN, and like the kids were like, "That was incredible. That was incredible."
The proud people of Tatooine agree.
Yes, yeah. So
Okay.
shout out for encouraging creativity.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Wonderful.
And now for a word from our sponsors.
Hey guys, this is an advertisement. A commercial if you want to know what it is.
And they do.
So this is especially for you folks in North Kakalaki and South Kakalaki. You have a house, you have a car, you have life. What do you need? You need insurance. You go, you know what? If I could buy my insurance from a former teacher, that's what I'd like to do. Hey Tedisco, do you know anyone that has a business selling insurance who used to be a teacher?
You know I do, and I think you do too. Pimentel?
Yeah, he used to teach with us, but he doesn't anymore. And apparently there's some guy Garcia that he knows. So they've got insurance. You need insurance. There's a link in the show notes.
We're all kind of looking at bottom line. We're looking at what's going to help us, what's going to be easiest. Check it out, talk to them, get a quote, and they will help you out.
And it's at Pimentel, Pimentel, Garcia.com. So you can email them that info. You can go to the website, or you can call 704-272-3535. It's all listed in the show notes. Swipe down and click, baby. You're there. And then get your insurance from a teacher, not from some weird lizard or from some ball guy who says ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-da-da. No, you don't want that. You want it from a teacher. That's where you want your insurance.
When you call up Pimentel Garcia Insurance, make sure you tell them you heard it from us. And now, back to the show.
Yeah.
So guys, I've got a game for us to kind of finish this up, okay?
All right, here we go.
I think you guys will really like this, okay? So it's kind of a takeoff on, you may be familiar with a game from back in the day that was called Kill, Marry, Have Relations With, okay?
Yes, yes. We know this game very well.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I concur.
It
So-
took me a second.
But instead,
Have relations. I know it by another name. Yeah, we're
No
trying to avoid
biblical sense.
instead, we're going to play, they become your admin, they become your student, or they become your colleague. Okay?
Right.
So I'm going to give you 3 people, some of them might be real, some of them might be fictional, from a certain category, and you have to pick, do I want them to be my admin, do I want them to be my student, or do I want them to be my colleague? Okay?
Brilliant.
Oh, I love
Really, brilliant. I'm
Okay,
adopting
so
for
this game could
payment.
literally be a whole show forever, okay?
That's right.
I've got 20,
Enjoy the
like,
new podcast.
Tedesco, your question, what do we do when we have free time? There's a lot of different applications, but let's go. Let's go.
I've got 20 here, okay? So I'm going to start with Gerardo. And Gerardo, I'm going to give you a couple categories to choose from, okay? I think some you might go with. So you can go I'm going to give you 2 NBA ones. You can go I've got a list here. NBA star or NBA big men, or do you want to go Olympic athletes?
Let's go NBA big man.
Okay. So you have to make one of them your admin, you have to make one of them your student, and you have to make one of them your colleague. Okay? You've got Shaq, Duncan, and Hakeem.
Ah!
Oh, wow.
So who's the admin?
My admin is Shaq. Because Shaq doesn't know anything. Do y'all ever so TNT had this wonderful sketch, and it was like Shaq and Barkley. Between the two of them, you're kind of like, do y'all know anything about the NBA? But I love them because it's just like listening to guys at the barbershop talk about basketball.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
That's the best thing about it.
There was this competitive sketch between the two of them that was called Who He Play For. And Barkley doesn't know who anybody plays for in the NBA. It's amazing. So anyway, Shaq would be my principal, my admin.
Uh-huh.
Duncan would be my student.
Okay.
Because he does everything exactly the way it's supposed to be done.
He's going to bring up your test scores for real.
He's going to bring up your test scores overnight.
Scores.
He's going to make all your exemplars. He is going to just be technically proficient with everything. He's going to be very matter of fact about it. Hakeem Olajuwon's going to be my colleague because, like, to me, your colleague needs to be somebody who can bring it and who you'll learn from. Like whatever the pedagogical drop step is, that's what I want to learn from Hakeem. But Shaq is my admin. I feel like we need to have some memes out there, some Photoshop stuff. That's great.
Principal Shaq.
Shaq.
Cool. So to Disco,
Principal the General.
I'm going to give you a different.
Love it.
There's different categories to choose from. Okay.
I appreciate that.
So you've got Star Wars, Marvel, or The Office.
Ooh.
Dude.
I gotta go Star Wars. Star Wars.
Okay, I'm going to keep it simple, old school, just Luke, Han, and Leia. Okay, or Han, depending on how you pronounce it. So who's
Luke?
So Luke, Han, and Leia. One's got to be. Go ahead.
Leia. All right, so my admin's gonna definitely be. Shoot, I don't know. My admin's gonna be Leia, because she actually knows how to run stuff.
That's right.
And get stuff done, and she has no problem looking at things that don't make sense and saying, "No, we're not going to do that."
Okay.
So I think she'd be a great admin for that reason.
Okay.
My student would be Luke. Because Luke wants to learn, and he's a little angsty, but he needs a little guidance. And I feel like it would just... I don't even know if I'd help him. It would just make me feel better.
Yeah.
In my classroom.
Luke is hella impatient. That's the only thing that gives me, like...
Right.
Well,
he reminds me of a lot of my students.
Yeah.
I want to learn.
Like, dude,
I want to get there.
You can't lift your X-Wing fighter with your mind yet. It takes
Hold
time.
on. We're going to get there.
I just want to leave my farm. I just want to start my life. Shut up. Sit down.
Okay.
And then, Han would definitely be my coworker because, number one, he'd have the funniest stories.
That's right. That's right.
Flipping out on kids. And it's like, and so I just took his textbook, threw it up in the air, and shot it. Like, imagine grabbing a beer with Han on a Friday when you're stressed out.
Best FAC ever.
At the end of a bad week, oh man.
Yeah.
Han would be there for you, and Han would keep it in perspective.
Yes.
But Chewie shows up.
Yes. Yes.
Chewie's here.
Who's the janitor? That's the
And a
custodian.
kid's giving you trouble, you go, listen, you're just going to go sit in Mr. Solo's class today, okay? I can't
No,
deal with you.
No, I don't like to go there.
You sit in Mr. Solo's class. Like, I just need a break.
Oh man, I always think of like The Hangover, like the teacher taking all of like the kids' field trip money and going to Vegas. Like that's what Han would.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, so Kev, I know a little bit, so I'm going to give you a couple different categories.
All right.
You can definitely have old school hip hop. Is WWE something in your range or not?
Nope.
Okay, so no WWE for you. Is Breaking Bad or The Office or The Simpsons?
Breaking Bad. Let's go Breaking
Oh,
Bad.
Okay.
Yes.
Go
Okay.
Breaking Bad. Yeah.
So you got Walter White, obviously.
Yes.
You've got Hank and you've got Gus.
Oh. All right.
So you're gonna throw out like Jesse or Saul?
Oh, yeah. All right. So I've got Walter White, I've got Hank, and I've got Gus.
I don't want any of them as brothers.
Ooh. All right. So, wow. Let's see. I'd take Hank as the student.
Okay.
I feel like
Hank or slash your tires.
Hank's you got to stay on his good side, you know.
Hank's got an IEP though, because how long did it take him to figure out his brother-in-law was?
Hank's probably got an IEP, but he's gonna
stop playing with rocks and get back to work.
Maybe I can help him kind of get there. Oh, but let's see, Gus. I guess you have to go with Gus as the admin.
Yeah.
Gus has to be the admin because he at least has a plan. He knows where he's headed. And like he's trying to stay within the like he's like, yo, it's Walter White that pushes him to have to like really like get out of pocket, right? So it's like Walter White, and so I guess my colleague is Walter White, right? It's natural. He's a science teacher. He's about the science,
right?
He's kind of a weird science. He fits with
weird is a good word for it.
He's that weird, different science teacher that you're like, hey, you know, like, and maybe I could help him, like, just be a little more culturally responsive. Maybe we can help him get in touch with his feelings and be like, yo, Walt, you know, and I'm going to notice things, you know, because I have a background in certain groups of people. So I'm be like, Well, why you always leaving with all the beakers? What's Walt up to? Hey,
why you got the second cell phone, my friend?
Y'all notice how Mr. White has 2 phones like Kevin Gates? Walt got 2 phones like Kevin Gates.
Notice how Mr. White's car smells a little weird?
What is he up to?
This is vintage Kev. Kev really feels like he can redeem anyone.
Yeah, so I'm helping Walter White, like just talking to him on the way to the car. And, you all right, Walt? You seem heavy. You seem stressed, man.
You good?
All right? You
feel
good?
like
you guys want to do one more round?
Energy coming from
Yeah, let's do one more round.
One more round,
and then Walter White has a Gerardo breakdown, just going like,
okay, Gerardo, I'm picking for you this time. Okay.
Oh God.
All right.
Okay, we're going old school hip hop. You got LL Cool J, Dr. Dre, and Snoop.
Oh.
LL, Dre, and Snoop. All right. Admin. Snoop. All day.
Really?
Ooh.
No, probably not.
Snoop gonna be late. Hey.
I gravitate towards weirdos, which is why Kev and I are friends.
That's right.
So
Thanks.
okay, so the admin is Dre. I feel like that. I feel like that's clear.
Yeah.
Expert producer, doesn't need his name to be on every track.
No, Kev?
His reputation and his talent is enough.
There we go.
And he's very good at amplifying the skills and talents of his crew.
Cool.
So
Nice.
So yeah. So Dre is my admin. This is where it gets a little harder. I'm gonna say LL is my colleague.
Okay.
LL will get you hype. Like you come in and you just had like that jerk cut you off on 6th Avenue and people are driving like idiots and you spilled your coffee on the way in and you're just there like sulking and LL will be like, hey, let's go knock this out. Get this. And LL, like, I don't even think LL's that good of a rapper.
Oh my gosh. You're just lies, bro. Come on.
But there's a persona there and there's an energy that is just this infectious energy.
Right.
And so LL is definitely my colleague. I would love to have Snoop in my class.
Snoop is a student?
Because Snoop is my student because
He'd never show up, but
yeah,
when he did.
I mean, that's it. We would have to.
Yeah.
We would.
He'd be going to the bathroom for a long time.
He would be gone to the bathroom for a while, and I could be like, Snoop, you can't come to school like this, and he'd be like, yeah, that's real.
That's real. I hate you.
But Snoop, I feel like Snoop would be really fun to get to know because he's just got these weird little things that he's into, like that cooking show with Martha Stewart.
Yes.
And he's also so self-effacing where he's kind of like, Martha, only one of us ever been to prison. and there's just like Snoop just does stuff where you're kind of like, I don't even know what that is, but it's great. So
and Snoop does have an appreciation for history, you know what I mean, as well. So so he really would appreciate that. Okay, let's go back to disco. To disco.
WWE. Can I just finish out the nerdy white boy from the suburbs?
There you go. Go ahead, hit it.
I think I was going to take you to The Office.
I'll take either.
Okay, Jim, Dwight, and Michael.
Oh man.
Let's spin again.
I feel like there's one that is really good, and then the rest are highly.
I mean, Michael already is like a lot of admin I have.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And have had in the past. But the thing is, like, the difference between running a small paper company and running a school is people report on the jokes you make.
That's right.
Michael would get us on the news.
That's right. You would be on the news.
Every week.
With quickness.
Right. Sorry. I have to apologize to the community.
So I guess, and I've already had Dwight as admin too. All right, I'm gonna say Jim is admin just because I think he wouldn't get me on the news.
There you go. That seems reasonable.
Right, so long as he doesn't form an odd love triangle with a teacher, I think we'll be fine. I'd say my coworker. I'd make my coworker Dwight, and then my student Jim. And so Dwight would be my coworker because it's really easy to
Michael
just ignore my coworkers.
Michael ends up being your student. That if
Oh yeah, because Jim's the teacher. Yeah, so Michael would be my student.
okay,
All right, so Jim's admin, Dwight's colleague, and Michael's student, because Michael definitely needs some diversity training and
You can
needs,
help him.
needs to learn a little bit about other people outside of him.
That's right.
Right. I think I could try and help.
okay.
And Michael's trying.
Michael's got a big heart.
He just gets
He
it really
does.
wrong. Like,
Yeah.
He thinks he's very enlightened. He'd be the one going like, I don't know. Please let me explain the civil rights movement, Mr. Tedesco. No, Michael, I'm not.
No, not
Put your hand
today. Not today.
And I want you to listen today.
Just listen.
And then Dwight should be my colleague because he'd be really easy to ignore, I think. I think I know enough teachers already just like that, who just consider themselves very serious and intelligent, and no one takes them seriously. He would be the one who'd ask way too many questions at like the PTS.
oh my God, he's that teacher.
He'd expand the PDs to an extra hour because he would just be question.
Like, question. When you say that we don't have to come to meetings, do we have to come to the building that day? Shut up, Dwight.
Question. Wow. I feel like
I collected a list of everybody who arrived late to today's meeting. I email that to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Jim, as the principal, would just go, sure, and then delete.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. That's
Okay,
great.
Kev. Last one here. All right.
Here we go.
So we're gonna go talk show hosts.
Ooh.
You got Jerry Springer, Oprah, and Ellen.
Oh wow! Snap! This is big considering all the recent revelations
About Ellen?
About Ellen, right?
Yeah.
Like big. So
You can go pre-controversy Ellen. If you want pre-controversy Ellen, you can have
Ellen
it.
today. And what we know, you don't want that. I mean, I think we've all had that Ellen admin.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
you're like,
are we taking 2020 Ellen or Dory Ellen?
Or some combination of both.
Oh my god,
Yeah, you can-
that's funny.
You can have Brave coming out in the 90s Ellen if you want her. Whichever Ellen you want.
Whichever I could choose.
Yeah.
So first of all, admin, Oprah.
Yeah.
Oprah.
That's kind of a no-brainer.
Anytime
Yeah.
Oprah could be my leader. Oprah's my leader.
Yeah.
Like
give you a
anytime
car, bro.
Oprah's the leader. Oprah's the leader.
She's going to give her whole staff a car. She'd be like, you get a new Mercedes-Benz, and you get a Mercedes-Benz.
But Oprah's gonna be like giving us books to read. Good books. She's gonna be nurturing our. We don't have Soul Sundays, right? Where Ayanla's gonna come through for like those SELs.
Oh, yeah, Oprah's
like,
friends.
Yes.
but she'll bring through Rachel Rave to teach us, like we'll be cooking up, PD is going to be off the chain every time.
Yeah, it would.
Yes.
You come in and be like, oh my gosh, PD is like this, Oprah. Right? And so you just live in that. So Oprah is clearly the admin. Let's see, who's my colleague? So now I got Spring Dog or Ellen. Let's see. I think I'm gonna have Ellen as my colleague.
Okay.
I'm gonna have Ellen as my colleague because Ellen will be dancing for the kids. She's gonna get them live. And Ellen's always good to the audience. It's just the other people that work below her. So let's hope she's just gonna be good to the students.
You do not want Ellen as your admin because that would be a train wreck with Ellen as your admin.
I don't want Ellen as the admin, and so Spring Dog. I'm gonna have Spring Dog as my student.
Okay.
I'm gonna have him as the student, because going back, and so I'm glad you mentioned this. I'll tell you. I don't even know if Gerardo knows this. But I am one of these few people who had the privilege in the 90s to go to the Jerry Springer show.
No, you were in the audience?
I've been in the audience yelling, Jerry, Jerry.
Oh my
Jerry.
God.
Right? So I witnessed the cultural phenomenon firsthand.
I will say this though, if Jerry is your student, how many fights are there going to be on the bus lot and in the cafeteria?
Right?
He is stirring it up, baby. He is
stirring it up, right? But you kind of want that. He's like, so, Becky. Jamal says this is
and he has index cards for no reason.
And he's bringing out. Hold on. I want to bring out Juanita.
And you're like, she doesn't even go here.
Oh, why are you bringing up? I'm like, Jerry, you staying after school. You are stirring up the pot. I want you. Why are you setting up shows?
But his summaries in class would be great. Like, if somebody explained what we talked about, he's like,
Jerry's that check when the admin comes in to observe. Jerry, go to what are your final thoughts on the lesson?
Jerry would be.
What have we learned today?
Okay.
Really?
All right.
Hey, so do we have one for Mealy?
By the way, guys, this game is even better than I thought it was going to be. So,
this is good stuff. This is quality stuff. There's so many applications.
I'm like, I know what I'm doing in class one day.
Yeah, that's what I told you. This is Gerardo's new day filler.
Oh, you can do it with historical figures. You can do it all day long with historical figures.
Kids can start to come up with them. Kids can choose who they want, right?
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless. Mealy, I got one for you.
Okay, cool.
All right. Comedians or NFL quarterbacks?
Ooh.
I'm taking comedians.
All right. Richard Pryor.
Yep.
George Carlin. Jerry Seinfeld.
Okay. So, Carlin's my admin. Okay. He's got to be my admin because he just.
What?
He's smoking in your office. Smoking in his office. You know, Mealy, we need to talk.
Here's why. I trust, so some principals, okay, we know this, please up to the superintendent and the people downtown. And some admins, they please down and they're teachers, okay? Yeah. George Carlin, he's taking care of the teachers. He's going to be telling the superintendent that's stupid.
Period. All right.
Okay. And then Pryor, same reason, I forget who you said, same reason Han Solo, I'm taking Pryor as my colleague because we are just cutting up. You know what I mean? And we're just going to have a good time hanging out.
You're going to be like, Richard, you can't say that.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to worry.
Loud, Richard.
Tell us more.
But he's not going to get in trouble because George Carlin's the admin, so he's good.
He's calling anybody out. George Carlin's showing up too. He's through.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
Carlin shows up at a parent-teacher conference going like, no, white people are like that.
Another thing.
So Jerry's going to be my student. I mean, he's gonna do his stuff, and he's gonna take good notes, and he's gonna do all his thing. You know what I mean? He's gonna think he's funnier than he is most of the time, and I'm gonna have to put him in his place every once in a while. You know what I mean? But
I think I have him in class.
But I'll take him as my student.
He's gonna ask a lot of questions.
Yes, that's true.
Mr. Mealy, what is up with the variable?
Point out, Mr. Mealy, what's with the math every day?
Did you ever notice that A squared plus B squared equals C squared? I hadn't noticed that.
What's the deal?
You know what? I got to give you credit for this because in my mind I thought, Seinfeld's definitely got to be your admin. But if you had a kid who got in trouble and you wanted to send him to somebody's office,
George Carlin.
Pissed off George Carlin would straighten that kid out.
Like Principal Seinfeld shows up with some nonsense. Principal Seinfeld
would kids would run all over.
They would. They would.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, that was fun. I feel like
this is a blast.
200 calories doing
one of the things besides being like goofballs that we have in common is the endings to our shows are extremely similar. I don't know if you know that or not. So we say stay unprofessional. Okay, so if we can do a chorus of stay unprofessional and then a chorus of stay dope, just to get that 1, 2, 3, stay unprofessional.
All right, and
stay dope.
That's so funny.
Fellas, when are we doing this again?
This is great, man. My face hurts.
Thanks for listening, Unprofessionals. Definitely check out Two Dope Teachers and a Mic podcast. They are great guys. They got a lot of great things to say. Like, subscribe to us and to them. Next week, we are interviewing George Stewart. So why don't y'all take a moment and get to know George Stewart.
Sure, yeah. So again, my name is George Stewart. I am a native of Mississippi. I'm located specifically in Jackson, Mississippi. And believe it or not, I am facilitating a program, 8th grade Spanish. Don't ask me how I got there, but I'm there this year. So I'm facilitating an 8th grade program, Spanish program. So this should be very fun and interesting this year. What got me into teaching was actually, believe it or not, a few years ago, I was actually working in a appliance and electronics store.
Huh.
And I was selling some electronics and just kind of not really knowing exactly what I wanted to do with my life. So I ended up, just kind of selling electronics and appliances. And then there was a lady there who happened to be a retired teacher and also a sorority sister of mine. And we kind of had a conversation. We were going back and forth about, what I was doing, what I have done and things like that. And she asked me a question. She said, "What are you doing here?" And that question was very, it was very, very powerful. And I was like, okay, so why am I here, right? And so her thing was, she said, but she felt like for me being a young black male at the time, she talked to me about the impact that I would have as an educator.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought about being a teacher at all. It was the farthest thing from my mind at that particular time. But she convinced me to pursue or at least give it a shot. And so what I ended up doing was I took a job as an assistant teacher at a high school.
Okay.
And so that was 14 years ago. So, and the crazy thing about it, and then check this out, my first assignment in education was I was the high school facilitator of after school or in school suspension. That was my first. That was my first assignment.
Get to hang out with the good kids. Get to hang out with the cool kids, huh?
Exactly. From 9 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, what's interesting about that job, though? Like, that's a really good opportunity to build relationships with kids who really need it.
Yes.
That's exactly right. And that's the approach I took to it. And that was the thing, like, for me, they wanted me to come in as this authoritarian type of person and pretty much lay the hammer down and, kids sit there, be quiet, don't talk, do your homework. But for me, I was about 20, I was like 23, 24 at the time. And these kids are like 17, 18, 19 years old. So they were pretty much my age, right? And so that didn't really work for me. So the approach I pretty much took to it was a relationship building type of approach. And it really worked well for me. And that, aside from that particular assignment, that is what actually kept me in the profession because I've developed a really, really great relationship with those kids. And that pretty much set me on the path where I am today.
There you go. I think I really do believe that being a teacher is a calling, but sometimes you need to find out it is. And if it's in you and you spend some time around kids, whether it be teenagers like for me and you or younger people for certain people in elementary school, and then